How Nazi Antisemitism Lost Germany the Nuclear Bomb in World War II by Chandler Alexander. During the years before World War II, Europe was the center of theoretical physics happening in the world. The new discoveries such as the photoelectric effect by Jewish German scientist Albert Einstein and nuclear fission by German physicist Otto Hahn launched the world into a new age of particle physics. Much of the work being done at the time in this field was by Jewish scientists. However, many of the Jewish scientists in Germany fled to the United States and Britain during World War II to escape concentration camps. Prominent names include Hans Bethe, John von Neumann, James Franck, Edward Teller, Leo Szilard, and Albert Einstein. Others such as Werner Heisenberg and Enrico Fermi helped due to their personal relationships with the Jewish people. Einstein's equation E equals mc squared laid the foundation for the nuclear bomb. Einstein's friend, Hungarian physicist Leo Szilard, in 1933 had the idea of an exponential nuclear reaction that would result in a small amount of mass being converted into a very large amount of energy, as predicted by Einstein. Leo Szilard is also responsible for helping over 2,500 Jewish German scientists out of Nazi Germany. Leo Szillard's main goal was to create the bomb before the Germans. He was completely against the actual use of the bomb. Albert Einstein, Leo Szilard, Enrico Fermi, Werner Heisenberg, along with two English physicists, Niels Bohr and Ernest Rutherford, are known as the founding fathers of nuclear physics. Niels Bohr, like Leo Szilard, was also involved with getting Jewish scientists out of Nazi Germany. These great scientists, two-thirds of which lived in fascist-controlled countries, could have been great assets to the German nuclear effort, had it not been for the anti-Semitic policies of Nazi Germany. Instead, many of them fled to the United States, where they helped start and further the American effort known as the Manhattan Project. Thus, the United States was the first to create the atomic bomb, even though it started its program far later than Germany did, thanks to the minds of great Jewish physicists. Albert Einstein was a scientist at heart, and almost certainly did not believe in the Judeo-Christian God in the same sense as many Jews. However, he was in all aspects culturally Jewish. Both of his parents were Jewish, and he later in his life co-founded the Hebrew University in the city of Jerusalem. Luckily for Einstein and his wife, they happened to be taking a trip to the United States when Hitler was named chancellor, and they elected not to go back to Nazi Germany. Years later, he would learn that he was on the list of assassination targets by the Nazis. While Albert Einstein did not directly contribute to the Manhattan Project, as he was rejected from the project due to his pacifist tendencies, he did jumpstart the project by writing a letter with his friend Leo Szilard that alerted the United States government to the threat of the Nazi nuclear bomb. Leo Szilard and Albert Einstein wrote a letter to President FDR in 1943 urging him to begin nuclear research in response to Germany's nuclear program. While it is now known that there was never a real nuclear threat from Germany, the possibility of one is no doubt what spurred the United States funding of the Manhattan Project. In 1936, 3 years before the beginning of World War II, an Italian physicist named Enrico Fermi discovered the weak force responsible for radioactivity, and would go on to use the Nobel Prize ceremony as a chance to escape fascist Italy. Enrico Fermi was one of the most prominent figures working on the Manhattan Project. Not only did he and Leo Szilard create the first sustained nuclear reaction, a critical step in the journey towards a nuclear weapon, but his research from his time in Italy was critical in producing enriched uranium, without which the bomb would not have been made. Enrico Fermi was also the first to propose a graphite moderator for nuclear reactions, which further pushed the United States nuclear program beyond that of the Germans. Hans Bethe never returned to Germany and would work the rest of his life at Cornell University in the United States. Another Jewish-Polish physicist, Joseph Rotblat, fled Poland for Britain before the outbreak of war, but his ill wife was forced to remain behind. She died in a concentration camp, and he never remarried. He immigrated to the United States and worked on the Manhattan Project in 1944. Rotblat later went on to receive the 1995 Nobel Peace Prize for his work on nuclear disarmament. Meanwhile, in Germany, the German physicist Werner Heisenberg, known as the father of quantum mechanics for his discovery of the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, also played a vital role in Germany's race for the nuclear bomb. However, due to some statements he made after the war, he is actually suspected of sabotaging the German nuclear program, which discouraged funding of the project in favor of more short-term weaponry. Heisenberg, like Slizard, tried to save as many Jewish scientists from the Nazi threat as possible. During the war in Germany, he was in charge of the German effort to create a nuclear bomb. While he was not Jewish himself, many of his colleagues were, which caused him to have Jewish sympathies and secretly take a stand against the Nazi regime by protecting fellow scientists from concentration camps. He was accused of teaching Jewish physics and was only saved from a concentration camp himself because his grandma knew Heinrich Himmler's grandma. While Heisenberg was no doubt an amazing physicist, his contributions to the German nuclear effort were arguable, as he drastically miscalculated the amount of uranium it would take to achieve critical mass. It is speculated that he purposely did so in order to sabotage the Nazis. Another reason there may have been sabotage by Heisenberg is that he opted to use heavy water instead of graphite as a moderator in the nuclear reactions. After the destruction of a full barrage full of heavy water, which was destroyed by Norwegian partisans at the cost of their own lives, Germany lost the majority of their supply of heavy water. The prospects of a Nazi nuclear bomb were minimal at best. Whether Heisenberg intentionally fed the Germans bad science, or if he was just better at quantum mechanics than nuclear physics, does not matter, as the project never got off the ground. In addition, Heisenberg led the Uhrenbrenn, which translates to the Uranium Club, which dealt with all aspects of nuclear physics for Nazi Germany. The Uhrenbrenn was flawed in many ways. First, many of the scientists valuable to the project were either fleeing the country or personally did not support the regime. Second, any scientists working on the bomb were not trusted by the government. Their work was not taken seriously and therefore was not funded or organized anywhere near the requirements to complete such a difficult mission. Throughout the project, the amount of progress made was minimal at best, never achieving an actual chain reaction or beginning the purification process of enriched uranium. The downfall of the most horrible regime in history was due to their own hatred. This story shows how anti-Semitism, or any form of hatred for humanity, is not only morally wrong, but counterproductive as well. The world would have been a much different place had the Jewish population been welcome in 1900s Germany. The world will never know what the Nazis would have done with a nuclear bomb, but one can imagine it would not have been good for humanity.